Okay, this is going to be a quick video, something that I really did not anticipate doing this evening. But as I was preparing, just winding down for the day, checking out some of the news and such, I came across an article on the TV, on the computer, which pointed out that there was a major accident at Talladega today. Now, I watched probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes of it with my brother, and we were just watching football and flipping channels and whatnot, and he flipped it to Talladega for a couple minutes, and I said, man, how can you watch this? I mean, it is, ever since they put those restrictor plates on, it's, to me, not even worth watching. And I think I had quipped, I said, man, look at that. I mean, you see these cars, I mean, they're all strung out to, one behind the other, like a funeral procession. I said, it's not even a race, it's more like a funeral procession with cars just one after the other, no very little spacing between them, one right on the bumper of the other, quote unquote, I guess, drafting, but nevertheless, all the cars just strung out. And I just remember back in the 80s when I used to watch it a little more, and going back into the 70s where I probably watched it even more than that, whenever it was televised. It didn't seem that the cars were that close together. It seemed like you had more spacing. It seemed like the races were just more interesting at that time to me. But now with the restrictor plates on the longer tracks, Talladega and Daytona, I think they're not really doing their fans a service. The fans want to see the cars go flat out. They want to see the cars reach their maximum potential. They want to see cars racing, not acting as if they're in a funeral procession, not just one after the other, after the other, after the other, just going around and around in a circle, very little passing, power restricted out the wazoo with the restrictor plates. And this accident, I think, is a prime indication of what happens whenever you have cars that cannot perform at their maximum potential. What you wind up having is major accidents like this, taking out half to 3/4 of the field. And I guess they're only lucky, if there is any such thing as luck in a major accident like this, is that it happened on the final lap or approaching the final lap. Now just imagine if that had happened, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through the race, halfway through the race. You would have had a very compromised race. I'm sure that the fans probably would not have felt as if they had gotten their money's worth out of that. And I think that's a big part of sports these days, a big problem with sports these days anyway, is, are fans really truly getting their money's worth? Just look at the latest incident with the football season, where they play, what, 4 games with substandard officiating. Look at the hockey, where you have another lockout, what, 5 years after the previous lockout. I don't know if they've actually recovered from that, and yet here they go again. But just overall, I think sports, including racing, really need to focus a little more on the fans and satisfying the fans. I mean, the fans are paying a ton of money to go to these events, and to have cars that can't perform up to the maximum potential, to have players being locked out, to have officiating crews being locked out and replaced by substandard, I don't know, also rans, is just ridiculous. But I'm not sure if this is going to change, but hopefully for the sports or the racing fans, this incident will change some of the minds of those in charge of the sport itself, and give the fans what they truly have been yearning for when did they start to restrict the plates? The late 80s, for almost for over 20 years to give them back what they need out of their sport, which is to have the cars at the full potential, for the cars to be able to do what they need to do, and for the driver, and to give the drivers a chance to show what they can actually do as well. They're driving with one hand tied behind the back, essentially, because they can't use whatever skills to get the maximum out of their cars that they would be able to otherwise. But in any case, I think that that's all. I guess what's the guy's name? Bill Elliott. I guess for the time being, his records are going to stand. Yeah, I just remember seeing him in his Thunderbird back in the mid to late 80s, just pulling away from the pack. I mean, on that back straightaway, they just could not keep up with him. And one of the reasons why I remember, because my brother had a Monte Carlo SS at that time, and he was just PO'd just to see the Monte Carlos getting owned by the Ford Thunderbird, which I was like, yeah, Ford. But I was kind of liking the Monte Carlo SS too, because it was a performance car for the times. By today's standard, it probably doesn't rank up there, but it's a shame that the sports fans, or the sports racing fans these days, young kids, can't experience something like that. As you can tell, that really resonated with me, stuck with me for many years. And for the younger fans coming up, being exposed to these travesties like this, it just really sucks. But in any case, I'm going to call it quits, and good night all. And even though I'm not a Florida Gators fan, I have my Florida Gators nightwear on. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.